Hi there, Sam Lee, President and CEO of Northisle Copper and Gold. We have one of the most important copper and gold porphyry projects in BC, Canada, with over 7 million ounces of gold and about 3.5 billion pounds of copper.
Sam, good to see you here in London.
Excellent, thanks for being.
Kind of feels like yesterday, doesn't it?
Yeah, absolutely.
We're up the mountains.
Exactly, the mountains to the beautiful landscape of London.
I've already been thrown off one tube this morning. Not my fault. You're part of this Michael Gentili roadshow across Europe.
Yes.
That's pretty exciting. Has he got the timing right?
I think so. I think the timing is right, but I think more importantly, he's got the group, right? So this is the group that over the last 2, 3, 4, 5 years, in our case, has really established his brand as being a really good stock picker, someone that obviously picks not only assets but teams.
Yeah.
And so this is the culmination. This is kind of his top 5 holdings, and he's certainly has timed the market right.
Right. When did he pile into you? When was that?
The day I started. I started
wow.
on October 5th of 2020, so 5 years ago.
Right. Well, he was just here a few moments ago.
Yes.
Sort of laying out broadly his investment thesis and criteria, and certainly in terms of the companies and the management team. So what did he buy into originally, and have you delivered?
Sure. So brand is everything, right? We're here because of his brand. He's here because he's taking out his companies that have the strongest brand within his portfolio. And so I was an investment banker, as you know, for 20 years. I was on the investment banking side. He was on the institutional money management side. So whilst we didn't actually correspond directly, we probably worked on at least 5 or 10 deals together implicitly.
Right, okay. So back to the question though, have you delivered on what he thought this company could be, Northisle?
Absolutely, and then some. I think so the biggest crux, if you will, to the story when I had joined, or 2 things. One, can you permit a project on Vancouver Island? We've shown that you could do so, and not only do so, but do so in the fastest possible way. And the second was, can you find more higher grade, higher margin rock to reduce the capital intensity? Because everyone knows that big copper projects sometimes get dismissed within single asset mining companies. And to show that ability to decrease your capital intensity, increase your margins was a key step for our progression.
Right, but obviously there are moments in there where the kind of the markets are not really open. You have a lot of cash constrained companies, expensive capital at that, and I guess the last 2 years everyone's a little bit happier, a little bit happier with gold price running, obviously with your gold component. Copper sort of creeping up the curve there as well. But the thing which you said a second ago, which kind of got me, was like the speed at which you're moving. Because typically from discovery to production, we're 17, 18, 20 years in the making. You're going to try and change that.
Yeah, so our strategy hasn't changed in the last 5 years, which is 3 prongs, right? Find the higher grade margin area that I talked about, develop the project as quickly as possible, but look at this project as a starter 30-year project to an entire district. And in 2021, 2022, we weren't able to affect 2/3 of that strategy. It was effectively stick to our knitting, stick to our near surface, high grade, high margin discovery, try to develop that into a low capital intensity, high margin project, and then see what the market does. And so that's what we did for the last 2 years. We found 2 projects, Northwest Expo, West Goodspeed. We put one of them into the PEA. We produced a PEA, which arguably is one of the strongest PEAs I've seen in the market in the last decade. And the market, obviously coupled with a very strong environment, supported this project to move ahead as quickly as possible. So now we are about a $450 million market cap company. We're able to raise capital, raise $40 million that had 9 institutions and Wheaton Precious Metals as our cornerstone investor. And so we are now being given the authorization from the market to move this project as quickly as possible, which is really exciting. It's exactly what we're doing today. But that interesting third lever around the district scale opportunity is something that we haven't seen sanctioned in a market for probably over 15 years now, right? And a good example is when the Lundins had NCX back in 2017. They had all 3 projects in the Vicuña district in one company, NCX. It was Los Lados, it was Jose Maria, and it was Filo. And in 2017, it was less than $100 million market cap company. So the market was not sanctioning big drilling, 1,000-meter exploration. So what they did is they split out all three. They capitalized all three. They put new management team, and the rest is history. It's about a $15 billion district now with a discovery at Filo, with Los Helados now being effectively the entry, the starter pit, the 20-year starter pit into the district, and NCX being in itself a $5 billion market cap company. That's the power of a district, but it's a risk-reward proposition that you need to get market sanctioning for. So to answer your question today, what do I see in the market today that's advancing us, or at least stimulating us to accelerate our plan? Well, we not only have the first two prongs of our strategy well in tow, we've been funded for the first two strategies. That third strategy around district play has now come into play for us.
So, okay, you describe yourself as one of the most important projects, and I guess Western Canada, if not Canada, in terms of the opportunity in front of you, it's a very positive, buoyant market, gold price doing its thing. How do you behave in a market like that? Because I think sometimes the hype maybe changes the way that people come at projects, the way they think, the way they determine future success. So what do you think?
Yeah, 100%. I agree with you. That's not us, right? That's not where we live. This is 100% fundamental. And when I say that is, I mean that we've got a big copper porphyry project with a very significant amount of gold in it, right? It's not a byproduct. It's actually a co-product. And so what gold does, and I've always said this, is that gold bridges big copper projects, right? If you read Norm Keevil's book, he talks about how gold Hemlo actually bridged the copper and the zinc big projects, big capital intensive projects, as Caminco rose to the extent that it has today. That is what we have in our project. We have a very high margin gold project upfront in phase one that allows us to bridge into a big capital intensive copper project. So that's number one key factor that we believe, no matter in what environment, we will always have that advantage over any other single only copper project. The second piece of evidence that is related to that is one of our significant shareholders, Wheaton Precious Metals, which is the largest streaming and royalty company in the world. They trade at massive premiums, 2 to 3 to 4 times their NAVs. And the reason behind that is because the market likes that association of being levered to the precious metals without having cost creeps, without having sort of operational risk associated to it. And so what that enables them to do is give us money when we need it, when the time is right. We haven't given it away, the stream or the offtake or the royalty away yet today. But when that time is right, our cost of capital is going to be very low. And when I mean very low, between 0 to 4% cost of capital. I remember I actually spoke about this, the first interview that we talked about in 2021. And back then, it was a pipe stream, right? Because we were so far away from getting to that final investment decision where we would put that royalty and stream in. Now we have the largest company in the world as our cornerstone investor, showing their support because of the valuable nature to that commodity. And that commodity, or that currency, gold, is going to allow us to achieve an extremely low cost of capital. The third point of your question around the environment actually has nothing to do with gold. It has to do with what's happening in this smelting and trading environment for copper TCRCs. So for those that don't know, TCRCs are effectively the cost that we would have to pay to a smelter in order for them to treat our product. And usually in our PEA, it's about 70 to 7, right? $70 and 7 cents. Today, TCRCs are negative 110, which means that traders are paying you $100 a ton for your concentrate. And it's because China is super aggressive around this product because it's extremely valuable. This product is extremely valuable. And they're trying to squeeze out their competition, which namely are the Japanese. I'm naming it for us because we're obviously right on the coast. The most logical partner for us, I'm not saying it's a fait accompli, but the most logical partner are the Japanese. So that brings another extremely low source of cost of capital, right? Because the Japanese will come in as great partners, or the Asians will come in as great partners. They can bring Exim Bank financing, which typically comes at about 2% cost of capital. And then so all of a sudden you have this, what once was a massive capital-intensive project being reduced by half because of the good exploration work we've just completed, and access to capital that is in and around 2 to 3%. You can't get that better of a situation, and that's what this environment has provided us.
Yep, it's fantastic. The press is waiting also, I say validation and cost of capital, and with the Japanese offtake potentially at the right time. So brilliant. The other thing which I thought Michael touched on this morning when I talked to him, which is extremely relevant to you, is exploration companies moving through into production. Very, very rare. Rare as hen's teeth. You've got to, I think he said, be honest and be realistic and understand what the team can do. You've taken a slightly different approach. You've said, actually, let's get the right people on board to allow us to go through to, or further down the line.
Yes, like, I mean, I think that there's two parts to that question, right? One is environment, the second is execution, right? Right now, environment, 100%. It is the time to try to advance and expedite projects through the political system. When I say political system, I'm talking about First Nation governments, provincial, federal governments. I keep on saying this, but in my 30 years of being in the mining industry, I've never seen such political alignment for natural resource development projects like ours. So when you see an environment like this, and when you have a board like ours, 2 mining Hall of Famers, ex-BHP, Barrick, etc., you know that's the time to capitalize and to take advantage of the current political situation to expedite projects. So as a board, as a management team, as a leadership group, we have decided that this is the time to accelerate the development, the permitting, the final investment decision as quickly as possible, right? It's sometimes the market is a bit slow to identify these trends, but right now, if you look at our board, we have 200 years of experience, not only on the finance side, but also on the marketing side, the concentrate marketing side, the mining side. And what we're telling you, and we're telling ourselves and our shareholders, is that now is the time to press the button to accelerate projects as quickly as possible because of the political environment we're seeing. So that's one part of the strategy. The second part of the strategy is, okay, well, you have to actually have a team to do it. You can't do it without just, wishing for it. And so our team has consistently built for the appropriate level of size and scale that we are at any given point in time. So 2-3 years ago, it was effectively Nick and myself that did everything, right? We were a very undercapitalized junior company that had less than $1 million of overhead a year, which is extraordinary for a public company. That was the time for us to stick to our knitting, focus on the near surface exploration, get those results that enable us, empower us to be in where we are today. But now, we are at the point where we have a Herculean task, and I'm not trying to sugarcoat it. It is not easy. It is extremely difficult. It takes $40 million to really advance these types of projects, which is why most at our stage can't, because they don't have access to that capital. We've just raised it at extremely attractive prices without warrants, right? So now we have the capital. We have to put the team in place, and so the people that we put in place, you would find at only the largest companies in the world. Kevin O'Kane, it's our Chief Operating Officer, 37 years at BHP, was involved in building some of the largest and formidable copper porphyry projects in the world at BHP, COO of Silver Standard, SSR. Dr. Pablo Mejio, VPX of Aero Copper. These are people that have established their careers on what they do best and usually are associated with multi-billion-dollar companies. So we've put that team in place because we understand that you need to have excellent execution in order to get through a strategy.
I wanted so much more to talk about, but you've got 150 people up there waiting for you.
Indeed.
So you better go and tell that story to them.
Excellent.
Appreciate it. Good to see you, Sam.
It's great to see you.
We will see you quite soon, I think.
Yes, sir.
Good.